Good people, it's another week. It's another episode. You know it's your favorite, the NFC Beast. Always remember, our division is better than yours. You know why that is? We're the Beast because every team has won a championship, an NFL Super Bowl. If you can't say that for your division, you're not in the same league as us, and you can't say it for your division because it hasn't happened, right? We got, a lot of other teams in the division like to say, but the Eagles only won one. But guess what? We are the reason that you're part of the best division in football, okay? So acknowledge us. How about that? Because if we didn't ever win that championship, we'd be just like everybody else and we wouldn't be the Beast. We'd just be another one of those teams with three teams that won Super Bowls and the other one didn't win one. So you know what? Thank us, acknowledge us. Stop with your fake mockery, especially that team that hasn't won one since the 90s. Y'all need to give it up. How about you win something now? But petty shot number one, it won't be petty shot number last, trust me. But we're here. Joined by my man, Scrub, aka Team Saquon. How have you been, my good man?
I'm good, Missed last week was on the injury report, but I'm off. We all good. Let's get it.
And just so y'all know, Scrub was questionable until about an hour before showtime. He was doubtful early in the week, but then he got upgraded to questionable, and then questionable to active. So yeah,
you could say he was day to day.
Right.
Well, he was questionable until today, so he had gotten off the day to day. He had gotten the questionable, but he had improved. So always works. Sam, what's going on?
Another great night to talk some NFC East football. We got a lot of great topics tonight, so I'm excited to go ahead and jump into it.
Yeah, Sam was DNP player's decision last week, so yeah, there's nothing we can do about that.
Was it last week? I thought I was here last week. I can't even remember now. It's pretty sad.
Maybe.
No, yeah, you were here last week.
Maybe the week before. He was DNP. Either way,
that's okay. I did miss a couple weeks in a row.
Yeah. He was DNP.
Honestly, I thought I might miss tonight, but I got lucky, so we're here.
All right, guys. So y'all know what we're here for. A little NFL talk. Unfortunately, we don't have the fullness of the division represented tonight. That happens. We all have, things happening, and sometimes we just really don't want to show up either, which can be understood in certain situations, like tonight. Might be a reason why one specific person I have wanted to be here tonight. Can't say that I blame them. Sometimes you just be like, look, this might not be a week I'm going to show up. Right. And if I was them, I probably wouldn't have shown up either. But digression is a sort of superpower, one I must curb. So let's get on to our Week 17 matchup review. And I want to just say, as I begin to talk about games in the division and lay them out for my illustrious co-hosts to give their thoughts and opinions on, I do want to say that 3 of the 4 teams in the division won on Sunday. One did not. It's another pin shot in case you count. All right. So according to the schedule, I want to say last week was crazy. We had Christmas Day games. We had games on we had a Thursday game still. We had the beginning of Saturday games, and it feels like they just started out of nowhere, which they did, but it's because we're at that point in the season. But where we're going to start it on Sunday is a place that Scrub probably doesn't really want to start on, but we got to go there. Right? We got the Indianapolis Colts, now 7-9, going to the worst field in the NFL, where the Giants and Jets play. and losing to the Giants 33-45. So for weeks, I have said the Giants understand the assignment. I'm going to give you my thoughts on what happened. I'm going to make this real quick, and I'm going to let Sam and Scrub give you the insight into the game. This is what I'm going to say. Drew Lock watched Shedeur Sanders talk about, I'm going to show you where I'm going to go. I'm going to have his shoes on for the game. So if you watch the game, he had on New York Giants custom sneakers, right? And custom cleats. Excuse me, it says sneakers. Thinking basketball cleats. And he proceeded to wear those. And in true fashion, somebody for the Giants, didn't work out well for him. And I think seeing that, Drew Lock said, "Hey, what about me? I'm out here doing my fizzle, right? I'm not too bad." So he went out and took his team to another level. Scored 7 in the first, 14 in the second, 7 in the third, and 17 in the fourth. And, the Colts put up 33 themselves, so they didn't go out there and just lay an egg. But this is a Colts team that I haven't been high on all year. Jonathan Taylor does not look like the same back. I don't think either of their quarterbacks, Flacco or Richardson, have been necessarily impressive. I know the Giants had a lot of strong drives, and it looks to be a lot of quick scores. I'm kind of I was looking through their scores. I know they scored their first touchdown in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Scored the second one in 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Their third touchdown in 3 minutes and 31 seconds. They scored a touchdown in 12 seconds in the third quarter. And then their last touchdown was 2 minutes and 14 seconds. Oh, they had one more. They had so many. I missed one. Actually, I missed more than one. They had another touchdown in 3 minutes and 41 seconds. And then they had a field goal. It only took 26 seconds. So the Giants were, they didn't spend over 4 minutes for any touchdown. So they were moving the ball quite impressively throughout that game. And hey, when you're moving the ball and playing well, things happen. And they found at the wrong time, I would say, a formula for winning. And I'm sure Scrub is not happy that they won. He may have whatever his reasons are. My reasons, of course, is, again, assignment understanding and forgetting about the assignment at the wrong time. You get the number one pick, you control your destiny. Whether you keep it, whether you give it to somebody else. They do that. Sam, what are your thoughts before we let Scrub clean things up?
Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I did not expect to see 78 points scored by the Colts and Giants combined. I didn't expect to see over 600 yards of passing. So, I mean, talk about an offensive explosion. That's probably more because the defenses didn't show up. But at the same time, I mean, this Colts defense made Drew Lock look like a superstar. What bad can you honestly say about him after this week? 17 of 23, over 300 yards passing, 4 touchdowns through the air, another one on the ground. I guess the one thing you can say is that he forgot he was supposed to lose the game this week and ultimately get that first overall pick. But at the end of the day, you got to keep in mind that some of these players are playing for other reasons, they're not necessarily just looking out for the team. And Drew Lock is one of those guys. I mean, he's an impending free agent. He's a guy who probably wants to continue his career in the NFL for a couple more seasons. And games like this are definitely going to help his case. So, I don't have a ton of thoughts on the game overall. Cool basically kind of summed it up pretty well there. The Giants really kind of were better off losing this game, and realistically, they're better off losing this next game as well to hopefully kind of get back up there towards the first overall pick. But, maybe, dare I say, that Drew Lock should be kept as some sort of bridge quarterback for 2025 and see where things go with him. But I mean, overall, you have to like what Malik Neighbors did in this game. He looks like a budding superstar in his own right. The defense did some good things, although, again, they were playing Joe Flacco. And they did allow over 120 yards rushing. I think it was 2 touchdowns on the ground. So a little bit of a concern there. But overall, great game by the Giants. I think Scrub said it off camera a little bit ago, and he'll probably say it again here shortly. But where was this all season? I mean, it's crazy to think that we're seeing an offensive explosion from this team, 45 points in the second to last week of the season when they're 3-13 now. So just unbelievable game from so many different aspects that I'm kind of flabbergasted from the whole thing, to be honest. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Scrub because I have a feeling he's got a lot of thoughts about this one.
I do. And the first place I'm going to go is, where was the Colts defense? Because I'm still looking for him. Because the tackling, I thought Giants couldn't tackle. When I saw them Colts missing, I was really sitting up like this. I was laughing, honestly, watching the game. Like, they're worse than the Giants. How are you worse than that? And then you actually look at some of the deeper into like some of the advanced stats, like they lead the league in missed tackles. They're bad third down team as well. Those things showed up on Sunday. Along with having Joe Flacco, who doesn't really scare you. Like, the Giants struggle with mobile quarterbacks. Joe Flacco isn't mobile. Which means that you know where he's going to be. The Patriots could actually just start teeing off. I know they ran the ball some, but they kept falling. They fell behind. It was down 2 possessions for quite a bit. They get it within 1, and then so it wasn't like Giants ran away with the game, but they established enough of a lead to just be able to start teeing off. They also forced 3 turnovers. Actually won the turnover battle for the first time this season. So that helps out. The biggest surprise really is Drew. Drew Lock looked like all pro. With the 17 23, 309, 4 TDs, 1 more on the ground. The line did a good job of pass protection. My issue with this is, like Sam said, where was this all season? Maybe not 45 points, because you also got a special teams kickoff return for a touchdown. So maybe not the 45 points, but this offense should have looked more. You were wondering, like, why can they just look more cohesive, have more effective drives early in the year? You just look at. I know a lot of people complaining they didn't have a lot of big plays. They finally got some. They had 5 in this one game. They had going into the game. They only had 6. Like that. Talk about 30 plays of 30 or more yards. It's crazy. Like me. So it is what it is for me. I don't really care too much about the pick. I've never been. I know there's fans that want number 1 overall pick. Listen, I like the number 1 overall pick too, but I personally have never been one who's condoned tanking. Not particularly not for football. So it would be hypocritical of me to say I'm for the tanking. My reason for wanting the Giants to lose was because they was playing like garbage. And I wanted them to get put on expose each week. Well, they played a team that played worse than they did. And so they won. But now, now they don't control the draft. They fell to 4th. They could fall all the way to 9th by the time the Sunday games are done. But, they won because they played a team that decided to be worse than them for a week. So congratulations. And it still means pretty much nothing, because whatever decision for the coach and GM that was going to be made before that game, this one win wasn't going to change that anyway. So
there you have it, good people. Heartfelt thoughts from my man Scrub.
At least this time I don't have to bury him this week.
All right, so we'll move on to the next divisional game on the schedule. And this is one that I personally enjoy. The 7-9 Arlington football team, Dallas Cowboys, at the now 13-3 Philadelphia Eagles. And the Dallas Cowboys were thoroughly spanked. Let me repeat that. Thoroughly spanked by the Philadelphia Eagles, 41-7. And now the Dallas Cowboys have actually done something that's very hard to do. They have lost to all the quarterbacks on the Philadelphia Eagles roster that played this season. Every quarterback that's played this season was in a game where they beat the Dallas Cowboys. And I definitely enjoyed it. Defense played well. I thought they could have done better at the beginning of the game, but I give them a lot of props because they still beat the Cowboys, and anytime you beat the Cowboys, it's prop-inducing for me. I felt like we could have done a better job of just – honestly, I don't feel like we took the game serious. I really don't feel like the Eagles took the game serious. You know, I feel like Hurts didn't play. Pickett looked a lot better than he did last week because Dallas's defense dropped at least one interception. I remember off the top of my head. Donald still got his 100 yards. But the Cowboys had no answer for Pickett or for the Mormon missile, as Jordan Mailata calls it. It was definitely a interesting game, an eye-opener, a game that makes you look at it and say, wow, this is crazy that this team went out there and just got manhandled like that. I understand that people are out, but where's your pride? Where's your ability to go out and do anything? It just didn't show up for them. And I would say, you know, maybe they just, hey, we're eliminated from the playoffs. It is what it is, and it doesn't matter anymore. And that could possibly be the case. But for me, you know, losing's one thing. And I said this when the Eagles got thoroughly thrashed in week 4. Losing is one thing. But you have to make an attempt to fight back. They laid down. And it was glorious to watch. First time since 2011 that we can pull the brooms out on the Dallas Cowboys. And Dallas Cowboys fans, well, some of you have a special place in my heart. You will not forget that you were swept this year. Anytime in the near future. Trust and believe. You will not be allowed to forget that. Because when you swept us a couple of years ago and we didn't play our starters in the last game, oh, you chirped all off season. You chirped all the next season. So I'm going to keep the same energy that you had for you. You're welcome. Scrub, your thoughts, sir?
Well, before that, since I wasn't here last week, I gotta give the Cowboys props to actually won a game at home against the Bucs. I wasn't here to mention that. I did say I thought they were going to lose, so they did that. That was a good job by them. Now to this week, Cowboys are who we thought they were. Sorry, team. That once things start going bad, they just pack it up and go home. They relied on Cooper Rush. We know what Cooper Rush is, or what he isn't. Threw a pick 6 before the Eagles could even take the field offensively. Threw another pick, and it was also 2 in the first quarter, right? Nasty work.
I remember if the second was in the first quarter, but I know that it was 2 to Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for sure.
Yeah, that was definitely first half, not first quarter and second quarter, but 2 to Gardner-Johnson. It wasn't a good game. Not for the Cowboys. They ended up, 4 turnovers. You don't want to, if you can't force some turnovers back or make some difference-making plays, you ain't going to win that. And sure enough, the Cowboys. I would say that this game, I thought it was worse than the first game. As far for the Cowboys, like I know they got beat down pretty bad too, but felt like they could have got back into it until they didn't. This game, there's just like no chance of like, oh, this game over. Saquon got over 2,000 yards, had another 150 plus yard game. So that was good to see. And Eagles are now locked in that second seed. So, some things still need work on, but defense balled out. And it's always fun to laugh at the Cowboys. Get the brooms up for the boys!
Sam, the floor is set all for you, my guy.
Well, I mean, given the way this game started, I was actually kind of surprised that we finally saw, the offense start rolling, because if you look back, it was the defense that got the scoring started, and our offense did not score on our first 3 drives with Pickett as a quarterback. So that was a little bit concerning to start off, and then it was like all of a sudden the floodgates opened and we just started scoring and didn't stop. So I was a bit concerned when Pickett left the field. As Cool notes well, we had a little bit of a disagreement on the backup quarterback situation off camera earlier last week. I was not a huge fan of the Tanner McKee move to keep him as the primary backup, but he proved me wrong. He came out firing. He did a great job. He looked like a very capable quarterback. And honestly, I think that it bodes well for the future of the position for the Eagles, which, I didn't necessarily think that we were going to get a glimpse of how he was going to play. So this was actually a very valuable game, despite the fact that it finished in a huge blowout. Ultimately, I wish we had seen more of Saquon in this game as well. I wanted him to get as close to that record as possible in week 16 or the 16th game of the season. But it is what it is. I understand the decision. You want him to be healthy and fresh and all that going on down the stretch here. But ultimately, there isn't much bad to say about this game other than the fact that we need to get over these slow starts. I don't know what it is other than the fact that Nick Sirianni can't seem to script a game to save his life. You would think that at the beginning of the game, we would find some success, and then, the improv side of things would kind of kick in and you'd find some issues throughout the game. But for some odd reason, he's better on the fly, or this coaching staff is better on the fly than they are planning things out ahead of time. So that's got to be a question mark moving forward. In my personal opinion, but CJ Gardner-Johnson, my hat's off to you, man. Great game. You honestly, I think, really kind of gave us the momentum, and it went a long way. And then ultimately, I think a great performance by the defense. I've said it here before. I'll say it again. I do not think Cooper Rush is a bad quarterback. I think he's actually one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league, and I think we made him look terrible. So that's kudos to the defense. Vic Fangio called a great game. He shut down that opposing offense. He made them look like, the JV squad. So I'm super excited about the future, the next couple weeks, and heading into the playoffs, because this was a very encouraging game. I now have a lot more faith in our offense, even if we do not see Jalen Hurts in week 18 here. Or possibly the beginning of the playoffs, although I would think he's back by then. So lot to like about this game, especially because we beat Dallas. So every win's a good win, but anytime it's Dallas, it's just that much sweeter, in my opinion. So great game. Offense, defense, special teams. Like I said, after last week, not much to complain about in this one.
No, I'm not doing it today. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. The only thing I do want to add to the game is I feel like a lot of fans and a lot of people watch the game and like, man, Saquon should have got more carries. Saquon had 31 carries, y'all. So the thing is, yeah, he did get out early, but he carried the ball a lot. And a lot of people, I gotta say that for later. Just say Saquon did have 31 carries. So I get where you kind of felt with the flow of the game. Maybe you should get some more, but he did have 31, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think is his season high as a Philadelphia Eagle. I will double check that. I believe that's a season high. We did have one more game on the docket. And of course, that was the Washington Commanders. Shout out to Couch Coach, who wasn't able to be on this week, but has been here the last couple of weeks. They got a 24, well, they had 30-24 victory over the Atlanta Falcons. Dropped the Falcons to 8-8. They're still in contention, I believe, for their division. And then the Commanders are now 11-5. So what I'm going to say about this one is Jaden Daniels is rookie of the year. You know, everybody wants to talk about Bo Nix and this guy and that guy. Games like this show you why it has always been and should always have been Jaden Daniels. I mean, no one specific, like, super fantastic play, but just poise, ability to play. Went up against the Michael Penix, who came out and had a monster first game. And when I say monster, I'm not saying like he was phenomenal, but he did really well. Jaden Daniels, you know, I'm not a stat guy, but sometimes you got to throw a few stats out there. 24-36, 227 yards, 3 touchdowns. He'd have an interception. He also had 16 carries for 127 yards, so he was the main weapon on the ground as well as in the air. He outcarried Brian Robinson. He almost outcarried Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez together. He had 16 together. They had 18. So big reason why offense and defense, the Washington Commanders won this game. I mean, running the ball and passing the ball. Big reason why is what Jaden Daniels will ever do. Offensively and defensively wise, what I did see from the Commanders is they found a way to get stops on defense when they needed to. They found a way to get points when they needed to on offense. They got an early interception, and they made some things happen from that. They gave up a touchdown, just kind of back and forth, right, to start off the game. Second quarter, we really didn't get anything from the Commanders except for the interception that turned into a touchdown. So kind of went back and forth. Threw one that ended up being a touchdown in the first quarter. Threw one that ended up being a touchdown in the second quarter. But then, you know, once you got through halftime, Commanders came straight out, did their thing, got a big touchdown. Then they got a punt from the Falcons, right? Then after that, fourth quarter, they got a nice long drive to start the fourth quarter. It was over 7 minutes. And the reason I talk about that is because I'm a big proponent of those drives to win games, right? In overtime, to get the win, they had a nice long 7-minute, 18-second drive that ended in a touchdown. These are important, y'all. They're important for one reason. It shows that Jaden Daniels understands, let me take some time off the clock. Let me wait for the right opportunity, and then let me go for it. Let me not just take a shot just because. Let's take a little time. Let's go for it. Let's make it like a regular drive. Let's not get into overtime and decide to be somebody that we're not going to try to, go down the field with one big explosive play. Take the time. Let's be smart. Let's make it happen. And they did do that. So kudos to them for that. We'll say more, but definitely want to leave some things for these gentlemen to be able to talk about. Scrub, what are your thoughts on this? And then we'll go to Sam.
My thoughts is ATL choke, ATL choke, ATL choke, ATL choke. Because the Falcons, after they threw the pick and fell behind, they started getting back. They got some rhythm, scored some points. It was 17-7 at halftime. Defense started not being able to get off the field. it took them a late drive from Michael Penix to tie the game up, and honestly, that drive could have ended in disaster. Especially that third, especially once they got to the goal-to-goal situation, it was looking ugly. Then you get the game-time touchdown. Then you get Washington to punt, get the ball back, get the pass interference to get you in the field goal range, and then your kicker misses the kick because he's too short. We are this is 2024-2025 season. If your kicker doesn't have the leg to make a 56-yard field goal, you got the wrong dang on kicker. Because there's no way. We're not talking about 2001. 56-yard field goal from a 2001 kicker. All right, I can understand maybe not having the leg for it. In 2024. Now 2025. And then defense, one more time, couldn't get off the field. Jane Daniels, he understands how to play the position of quarterback. He knows what's needed from him for him to be successful, for his team to be successful. It was a game he needed. He had 16 carries. Too many carries for my liking. But he made things happen when the ball's in his hands. Aside from the pick, he did what you want from the quarterback position. My only concern going forward, looking at this game, and maybe this is and we've seen a few of these games now. Maybe it's premature to worry like this. I worry that he's going to get used like Lamar Jackson in the sense they're going to put it all on him. Then when they really need him in the postseason, he ain't going to have enough. And they're going to do him like they've done Lamar. And Lamar's had some bad performances. I can admit that, but you can't put everything on a quarterback, especially this is a rookie quarterback. Don't put it all on him to be your savior. And then when it doesn't work out, you got everyone like he's not good enough, or or just he's running out of gas. Help him out. You gotta use the backs more. There's no reason that Brian Robinson and the other guy should only have 18 carries between them. If you were able to run with a quarterback, you could have got them some more carries. If for no other reason, just to keep Jaden Daniels. I know he's good at avoiding the hits, but just help him out, because even if he's not getting hit, that's a lot of work he's putting in. And then the defense, it's more of the same. They're good enough to keep they're keeping them out of trouble as far as like getting torched. But they're not good enough to really make that difference-making play when you need them to. That to really be like, all right, we could trust them to get off the field. We're gonna win a game because of our defense. I don't see that. That was particularly with the secondary. That was my concern coming into the season. It's a concern all now. But hey, the one thing I can say, they made the playoffs for the first time. Well, since what, like 2020, 2021? But, like, when we say make the playoffs, I'm not just saying back in or having, like, you could confidently be like, yo, this team has made the playoffs since RG3. You actually feel good saying, yo, we made the playoffs. This is the first time since then. So, and I know we'll get into all the playoff positioning, but they're in a good spot. They've done themselves a favor winning that game. So they're in. We'll see who the matchup is ultimately going to be, but I got to give them the props for that. Much as I don't like them sometimes, but hey.
Well, much like Scrub said, I'm not a big Commanders fan, obviously. But I've said it before. I'll say it again. I am terrified for the future of playing Jaden Daniels twice a year for the next 4 to 5 seasons. The dude is a baller. Basically, he's the type of player that you want to you want him to have the ball late in the game because he's going to make a big play when it matters the most. You look at some of the stats from this past game: 412 total yards for Commanders, and 354 of them came from Jaden Daniels. So, I mean, the dude is a monster. He's literally as good as it gets for a rookie quarterback. Like Cool said, if he's not the rookie of the year, somebody's made a grave mistake because nobody else deserves it over him. He is the driving force for the Commanders right now. They would probably be a 7-win team if it was any other quarterback right now. I don't want to say any other quarterback, but any other rookie quarterback right now. And then on the flip side, the Falcons, man, like Scrubs said, they really kind of dropped the ball here. They had an advantage early on in the game. They really needed to kind of drive it home, run the ball more in the second half, maybe mix in some more of Tyler Algier. I'm not quite sure why they're not utilizing Penix more in the run game, and that's something that's so far been a frustration on my part for the Falcons and their game plan with him. The dude's a freak athlete. You got to get him involved in the read option and get him some more carries, make that defense be honest and kind of account for his running ability. Maybe it's just a situation where you need to tell him, look, if it's not there, tuck it and run. Because right now he's just not doing it. 6 rushing attempts in 2 games. I just don't see it. I don't understand why. This Falcons defense is probably as legit as it's going to get, especially in this past game. 5 sacks on Jaden Daniels. That's an impressive feat anytime you look back at it. The defense really applied the pressure and kind of forced him to take the game into his hands. So, I mean, as far as that goes, I think they had the right game plan. They just didn't stick to it late. And ultimately it bit them in the ass here. So, realistically, I expected the Commanders to win this game. I didn't expect it to be quite as close as it was. And this actually turned out to be probably the game of the week from the NFC East. Ultimately an exciting game that kind of was back and forth the whole game long. And if not for a pretty porous third quarter, the Falcons might have taken home the victory in this one, and we'd be talking about this game in a whole totally different manner. So ultimately, a lot of things to like about both these rookie quarterbacks, and really this could be, kind of the future of the NFC. So it was kind of fun to watch, and ultimately I'm excited about the future for both of these quarterbacks. But really, like Cool said, if Jaden Daniels isn't the rookie of the year, I don't know what a rookie of the year looks like at that point.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so gentlemen, we shall be moving on. We'll start with the playoff race. Let's look at what we got going on with the playoffs. I'm not going to do what I would normally do here. Let's play Jim Moore. I'm not going to do it today. All right, so we'll start with the conference we care a little bit less about, but there's somebody, if we make it to Super Bowl, we'll play. That's the AFC. So, one playoff spot available in each conference. AFC, number 1, Chiefs, 15-1. They're playing Denver. Chiefs are resting their starters. Denver needs a win to get in. To solidify them getting in. They can win without getting in, but winning they're in, basically. All right, Buffalo is 2-13-3. They can't improve or lose their position. I don't see their starters playing, but you never know. Or at least not finishing the game. They played the New England Patriots as well. Their backups could probably win that game. 3, we have the Baltimore Ravens at 11-5. They play the Cleveland Browns. They've taken over the AFC North from the Steelers. Number 4, we have the floundering Texans. They have not looked as good as I thought they would this year, but there is a such thing called a sophomore slump, and I think C.J. Stroud has went through that. Lose your top 2 receivers doesn't help either. So, but they're there. They're the best of their division. At 5, we have the Steelers at 10-6. The second in the AFC North, they play the Bengals, who need to win to get in. Well, win and get some help to get in, I should say. And at 6, we have the Chargers, who play the Las Vegas Raiders. If the Chargers win and the Steelers lose, the Chargers could end up moving up to the 5th seed, possibly, depending on how some other things play out, because Galley's tiebreakers and different stuff. But those are the teams that are in. Right now, if the season ended before the game, the Denver Broncos would be the 7th seed. They win their game, they get in. They lose their game, they open the door for the Dolphins or the Bengals to sneak in. Those are the only other two teams, both at 8-8, who have a shot. Everyone else has been eliminated. The Broncos are 9-7, so right now they're clinging to life in their 7th spot. All right, over to the NFC. We'll go reverse here because it's a little bit more fun. So Seahawks, Cowboys, Cardinals, 49ers, Saints, Bears, Panthers, Giants are all eliminated from playoff contention. All right, so the only team that's on the bubble that has a chance to get in the playoffs is the Atlanta Falcons at 8-8. And the reasoning for that being that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are now 4th right now because they won and the Falcons lost. If the Buccaneers win, they would be the 4th seed. If they lose, they could possibly end up being out of the playoffs. So the Buccaneers play the New Orleans Saints. They need to win. The Atlanta Falcons play the Carolina Panthers. They need to win, and they need the Bucs to lose to have an opportunity. But we'll see how that plays off. That's the only battle. That's the only thing that's there. All right, 7th seed. Well, not the only battle, let me not say that, but the only two teams that can knock one or the other out. Everybody else is just positioning. So in the 7th, right now, we have the Green Bay Packers at 11-5. They play the Chicago Bears. They win, the Commanders lose. The Commanders, who are in 6th place, then they can move up to 6th and knock the Commanders back down to 7th. The important part is if you're 7th, you're playing the Philadelphia Eagles in the first round. So, you know, I'll pull a flow this, you know. 5th place, Minnesota Vikings, 14-2. They play the Detroit Lions. And if I remember correctly from looking at the last thing I read to confirm, if the Vikings win the game, well, I don't need to look at it to confirm. If the Vikings win the game, they would be 1st in the NFC. They lose, they'll stay at 5th. They obviously play Detroit. Detroit's 1st. If they win, they stay at 1st. If they lose, they drop to 5th because only one team from the division can be number 1. Well, in the top 4. And obviously, number 1, but in the top 4. 2nd place, we have the Philadelphia Eagles, who play the New York Giants. They won't be playing for anything really this weekend. They'll be playing their B and C squad players. At number 3, we have the Rams, who are playing the Seattle Seahawks, who all they could do is, they can't really do anything but just keep the Rams at 10 wins. It's the worst thing that they could do. So, that's your NFC and AFC playoff pictures. Any thoughts, gentlemen, on those playoff pictures?
Yeah, I'll go. Texans, they're gonna play the Chargers or the Steelers. I don't like the chance against either team, honestly. Offensive line's been banged up, and we've seen CJ Stroud struggle. The offense coordinator struggled with coming up with plays. They've either been down. They've been down a lot of the year. 2 of their top 3 receivers. I think at one point been all 3 of their top guys. Though how the Steelers been playing, it's still TJ Watt or bust, so they can't be trusted either. They might be the Bengals. Okay, so what? Who cares? The Bengals are fool's gold. I don't think they're going to win. I know they won and got their first win against a team with a winning record last week. It was the Broncos, and I didn't have much. I still don't have really a lot of faith in the Broncos because I know Bo Nix having a good rookie season. I know the defense playing well, but something about them just screams about like the bottom's waiting for just fall out. They're waiting for the rug to pull from under them. It's like this magic carpet ride is going to come to an end, and whether it comes to an end this week or next week, it's like, yeah, we ain't got no use for them. Ravens, they're going to play their starters because they're trying to clinch the division. Browns actually are going to start Bailey Zappi, which is crazy. I don't know why they didn't start him sooner because DTR is, I'll be honest, he's not worth a damn as a quarterback. We've seen enough from him. He's not. I'm not going to pretend anymore. I hate to say it, but that's just the truth of the matter. And then the other teams that are locked in, we know they're locked in. Like the Bills, we'll see what they do in the playoffs. And the Chiefs, someone got to prove they can knock them out. NFC, on the other hand, is a little more interesting because the Falcons need help to win the division. And it could actually happen because the Saints do play the Bucs tough. That's always been a tough matchup for them. So there's no guarantee the Bucs will actually come through with this. But all the division matchups too. That doesn't mean the Falcons are guaranteed to win either. They could do them. They could hurt their own cause and just lose straight up before that game's done and be out of it. With the Washington, all they got to do is win. They stay at 6, and I think they'd be better suited playing. Considering they do have 6 now, I think they'd be better suited playing the Rams than falling to 7 and playing y'all. Packers, I think they want to get back at y'all. Y'all, I ain't gonna lie. After what happened in Brazil, I think they feel it was a missed opportunity. I know y'all feel like the field jacked y'all up too. So it's like that's a matchup I really want to see personally. Green Bay go in Philly and run that track back, and then one of the teams, and then the Vikings and the Lions. Someone's going to have. We're going to get a 14-win team be a wild card. It's going to be hilarious.
We've had 13-win teams be wild cards before.
I know. That's crazy, too. It's like, dang. But it can't happen, and that's the NFL, ain't it? So that's my thoughts on it. Which, anyone else who got any thoughts, by all means.
All I'm gonna say is we got to do something about this playoff setup. I love the fact that you get rewarded for being a division winner, but when you have a division winner that could be 9-8, getting a better seed than a team that is 14-3, that is insane to me. It doesn't feel right. We need to just do best record. And then go.
So then don't even have divisions anymore. Because here's the thing: if you're not gonna honor the division winners, just get rid of the division winners and just take the top 7 teams. If you're gonna have divisions, the division winners should be the top seeds. The NBA is doing it wrong.
I don't see how you can make a legitimate argument that the Vikings should be a 5 seed when the Buccaneers or Falcons are going to be a better seed. It doesn't make sense.
I'll give you one right now. The Minnesota Vikings didn't win their division. And if you don't win your division, you're not a top 4 team. It's been that way. It's going to continue to be that way. We've had 7 win teams. We've had 7 win teams do the same.
Remember, we had the 7-9 Seahawks win their division.
We had the Commanders at 7. What was it, 7-9 a couple of years ago when the whole NFC East was terrible.
Right.
Before we started doing the show, because we've always been good since we did the show. The fact of the matter is, if you have a problem, and people say this all the time, my rebuttal is simply this: if you have a problem with a division winner with the worst record being the top seed, then what you're really saying is you don't want divisions. You just want the top 7 teams to be in order. Because if you're saying anything else, you're contradicting yourself. So basically, we have Hurts, who hasn't played essentially in 2 weeks. This is going to be the 3rd week. We're going to turn around and go in the playoffs and be playing the Green Bay Packers or the Washington Commanders. Do you believe that a guy not playing for 3 weeks could come out and be rusty in their first game in 3 weeks? And can that be afforded by a team who's trying to win the Super Bowl when the guy really is healthy and you could just let him play a few snaps? And again, same thing with Jalen Hurts. I wouldn't say put him out there and have him play anything more than 15, 20 snaps. He only had to play an entire quarter, just some snaps to get him out there. Maybe let him play a quarter, whatever, seeing how it goes, to get him back into the rhythm of throwing the ball and playing in a game. Because it's not a guy that played in week 16, 17, and you're just going to sit him for week 18. You're essentially sitting him for, you might as well say, 3 weeks. And that's the concern with Jalen Hurts with me, because this is a guy that has a team that's expecting to go deep in the playoffs, hopefully win a Super Bowl. You're taking him out of the equation for 3 weeks, then you're reinserting him and say, go play like you were playing before you got hurt. That doesn't mesh well for a guy who's had some up games and had some down games already in this season. That doesn't seem like sound, logical, intelligent roster usage.
Yeah,
Completely agree with you.
Yeah, if he's cleared, I'd have him play, because Jalen Hurts, like, we know quarterbacks by and large, all of them are rhythm type players. Like, they need some type of rhythm. For Jalen Hurts, I think it's more key, because we've seen how up and down he can be in his style of play. You want him to at least have some snaps before this playoff push. If he's good to go, let him, like you said, let him go 15, 20 snaps. Maybe it's a quarter, maybe
not cleared.
Quarter,
because he hasn't practiced, so he can't get cleared. So he's still
that's because the Eagles are BSing around. And I'd say stop BSing around, let him play. Now if he really isn't cleared, ain't nothing you can do about that. It's just what it is.
If this man is not cleared from this concussion right now, he's not going to play week 1 of the playoffs.
Agreed.
Let's be real. If it's taking him 3 weeks to get over concussion,
yeah, this is more
not
serious.
Be ready to play.
At that point, yeah, I'd just say shut him down, just for his sake. But unfortunately, we've seen the Eagles make some questionable decisions.
And like I said, when you were here with last time Flo was here, he's like, "Oh, well, guess everything's fine with the Eagles." No, it's not. There's questions on the decision making on the roster. There's questions in the decision making of the head coach. There's questions as to who's making these decisions. Those are things that are question marks, and those are concerns for this team who's trying to go out and compete for a Super Bowl. Name another quarterback that's on a team that's trying to compete for a Super Bowl that's been out. Josh Allen got blasted back the next week.
Yeah.
Right. Super Bowl contending. You know why? Because the Buffalo Bills as an organization don't get too cutesy. Right? They haven't been good, but they've been building, and they don't get cutesy. They don't think they're smarter than everybody else. They don't think they figured it out. These are the concerns I have with my team, the Philadelphia Eagles, and teams who do this. Right? You don't sit out a main player. The most important player on the offense is your quarterback. You know, he may only throw for 100 yards a game, whatever, but he's the most important player because he touches the ball every snap. He decides if it's a run, if it's a pass, what's going to happen, protection, all those things, that's him. So you're taking him out of the equation, again, really for 3 weeks, because they've already moved him out this week. And now you're going to ask him to come back in the playoffs. Hey, be the best Jalen Hurts you can be, buddy. You got it.
Completely agree. And honestly, I would go one step further and say, if you really want to worry about him being hurt and whatnot, take him out of practice more often. Give him those game reps, because they're more important overall, especially when you're talking about knocking some rust off after an injury, than practice reps are. Practice all year long, you know. At that point, I think it's more important to give him a couple series in a game, get him back, get his feet back underneath him, and then, you know, move forward. So, I mean, there's other ways of load management. This is just, I don't think it's the best decision for the team. I understand why they're doing it, but like you said, he hasn't played the last basically 3 weeks now. So that's a huge concern. The Chiefs are sitting Mahomes, but he played last week. So it's a little bit different situation. 1 week off versus 3.
Yeah,
I definitely have concerns about this for sure.
It's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you know what's gonna happen. If he comes back, he doesn't play well. Oh, I told y'all Jalen Hurts was not the guy, and we need another quarterback, and we can't win with him. Yeah, but you're not gonna mention all the fact that he got put in a bad situation. We're not gonna talk about that. And that's the disappointing part of all this, and the part that anybody with half a brain. But we've only got 2 matchups to talk about. We'll start off 1 p.m. Fox, Washington Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys are starting Trey Lance. We clearly know what it is. They folded up. Jerry Jones has went from all in to all out, like he's part of AEW. And the Cowboys should not win this game, even if the Commanders. And the Commanders are going to play their team because they have something to play for. They're trying to be the 6th seed so they can have a cupcake matchup against the Rams. And I don't blame them. If I was in their position, I'd be doing the same thing. So obviously the Commanders should go out there. I won't say crush the Cowboys because the Cowboys played them very good a couple of weeks ago, but they should go out there and get a win.
Yeah, I'm
Sam, what are your thoughts? Or Scrub, you can go. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got the Commanders winning. It shouldn't. Because you do have something to play for, and I still think there's things that the Commanders need to try to fix up before they get into this playoff run. Because even if they do play the Rams, if they don't get some of what I saw on that Sunday night game, they don't get that cleaned up. Mess around with these Rams, you're gonna go home. I know the environment it'd be like a home game, but the Rams is still an NFL team. Stafford is still capable of having that one game. You got Puka Nacua. Of course, you still gotta get it. But that's what I'm saying. All the more reason for the Commanders to actually play and make sure and take care of business this week. Get some of their issues cleaned up.
Sam?
Completely agree. Completely agree with that. I see the Commanders winning this game because they need to. I think that this could be a situation where, if it gets out of hand either direction, you do see them probably pull Jaden Daniels out just to make sure he doesn't get hurt. But that's more due to his play style than anything. Ultimately, I think that the Cowboys are laying down for this one. They're looking at the future at this point. That's why Trey Lance is going to play. They got to see what they have in him. But yeah, ultimately, I think the best part about this week 18 is the fact that we have all these divisional matchups, and it adds that extra level of intrigue. But a lot of these games they're already out of hand. We already know who's laying down, who's playing for something, stuff like that. So, I mean, this is just one of those games where it's going to be lopsided.
And the other matchup we have the 3-13 Giants against the 13-3 Eagles. But we're not going to get the 13-3 Eagles. We're going to get the B and C squad. I'm not even going to pick this game because this game has no meaning at all whatsoever to me. I'm not watching it because this is a joke. So, Sam and Scrub, we'll start with you. Then we go with Sam. Y'all can pick. I'm not even picking this game.
The Giants, but I don't think it means a hill of beans either way. Like you said, the Eagles ain't playing a lot of their key guys. Giants are still trying to. They want to end their season off on a high note somehow. But if they win, cool. If they don't, cool. I just want the year sorry football in New York to be over. And after the 1 o'clock games, thank goodness it will be. We don't have to talk about dang on Giants or dang on Jets.
That's fair. Believe it or not, I'm actually kind of excited to see this game because I want to see more of the backups. As much as I just talked about the fact that Saquon should get a chance to break the record and all that, but I just want to see some of the guys that are the potential future of the team, see what they can do against what I expect to be the starting defense and starting offense for the Giants. But ultimately, it wouldn't shock me at all to see the Giants win this game. Like Cool said, there's absolutely zero meaning to the Eagles. They can't change their seeding. They already won the division. So, I mean, realistically, outside of knocking some rust off for the starters and whatnot and making sure they're, in a rhythm and stuff going into the playoffs, there really is no need for the Eagles to care about this game. And obviously they have not prioritized that heading into week 18. So ultimately, I mean, it's probably going to be a Giants win, especially if they play like they played last week. There's no way that I see our team with our second and third stringers putting up 40-some points.
All right, good people. There you have it. If you're watching this on Saturday night, appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate the comments and everything. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe for your boys. We'll be back as long as there's a team in the playoffs. We'll be doing shows. Once all the teams are out of the playoffs, we'll be done, right? But so we know at least one more show for sure. I hope and believe many more shows after that, like 4 more shows after that. But hey, we'll see how things play out in the field. We can all feel how we want to feel and think what we want to think, but none of us can really tell the future. So we hope, but we'll be here to discuss whatever does really happen. It'll be interesting to see if the Eagles play the Packers or the Commanders. That's about the only thing that's interesting. And I will go back and watch the replay of the game where they cut all the things that don't matter. But I won't actually watch the game live because, again, it's second and third stringers. I know Sam feels like some of these guys are the future of the team. Most of these guys probably won't even be on the team next year, in my opinion. We'll go draft guys that are better than them, and they'll be released or go somewhere else. They'll be on the practice squad again. So, yeah, my thoughts. But some of the guys could definitely make it because somebody has to make it, right? But I don't know how long the Giants might keep their starters, and they may have the same thought process. Like, hey, we don't want to win this game.
No, they're keeping this. I'll tell you right now, they're going on. They're trying to win the game, unless they're playing their guys. They've been doing this all year. They ain't changing now, unless they get blown out or something like that.
But here's the thing: you got to remember too, the organization wants the best draft pick possible. It happened last week. It's cool. It is what it is. I mean, they could have took Drew Lock out, but they didn't. But I think that he may have had a meeting with people in the organization. It's okay if you play good for a while, but you may not play the whole game.
No,
start that again.
No, seriously, John Murray, he ain't going for that. I'll tell you that right now. That's not innuendo. That's not speculation. It's like reports. No, that's just who he is. This team's playing. It's just, whatever it is, whatever it is.
I hear you, man. But this defense, even the second string, is not Tennessee. So
yeah, it ain't Tennessee. It ain't the Colts. Oh, dear.
So it's not one of those.
One more thing. Jack got 4 wins now. Can you believe it?
Y'all got 4 wins? I thought y'all got 3.
Jags got 4 wins.
Oh, yeah. Yo. I seen that, man. I was like, yo. What in the world? How did Jack and teams become? Come on, man. I don't know, man. I'm confused. I don't know. Any last thoughts, Sam?
Not really. No, I think we pretty much covered everything and then some this episode. It's been a good one. I honestly think we covered a lot of good topics, and then hope everybody enjoyed it.
And if you didn't, you just hating. Maybe I am, but I'm not. We'll see y'all next week. Good people, we are out.